I'm Owen Caldwell, 48, a structural engineer in Burlington, Vermont, with a knack for spotting weak points in bridges and tunnels. Never thought I'd be hunting for cracks in my own marriage. Nora and I have been together 19 years, no kids, just us, a cozy ranch-style house on Cedar Lane, and a life built on routine. She's 45, a nurse administrator at Green Mountain Medical, sharp as a tack, with a smile that used to stop me cold. Lately, though, that smile's been scarce, replaced by a tight-lipped edge that cuts through our evenings like a cold wind. It started small. Nora's always been a workhorse, pulling long shifts at the hospital, but these past 6 months, her late nights multiplied. Staff meetings, she'd say, or urgent budget talks with Dr. Vance, the head of orthopedics. I'd nod, trusting her, because that's who I am, steady, dependable Owen. But her stories got flimsier. She'd come home smelling of hotel soap, not hospital antiseptic, and her eyes wouldn't meet mine when she talked about her day. I'd ask, rough one, and she'd snap, you wouldn't get it, Owen. It's not like you're saving lives. That stung, but I let it slide. I'm not the yelling type. Then there was the distance. We used to share everything, bad days, good coffee, plans for a trip to Italy we'd been dreaming about. Now, she'd bury herself in her phone, smirking at texts she wouldn't share. Our evenings, once filled with laughter over goofy TV shows, turned quiet, her in her office, me flipping channels alone. I'd ask about her day, and she'd brush me off with a fine, just busy, her voice sharp enough to draw blood. I told myself it was stress, hospital politics, maybe, but deep down, I knew something was off. My engineer's brain started cataloging the signs, late nights, evasive answers, a new perfume I didn't recognize. The kicker came during a tunnel inspection. A slab of concrete nearly turned me into a pancake, missing my head by inches. As I dusted off my split hard hat, heart pounding, I realized how fragile life is. That night, driving home through Burlington's rainy streets, I wanted to tell Nora we should book that Italy trip, live a little. But when I got home, she was distracted, barely listening as she stirred chili, her phone buzzing nonstop. I mentioned the near miss, and she froze, but not with worry, more like irritation. You're fine, Owen, she said, her tone clipped. Don't be dramatic. That's when I knew the cracks weren't just in the tunnel. They were with us. I'm not a snoop. Never have been. 19 years with Nora, and I never once checked her phone or rifled through her purse. Trust was our foundation, or so I thought. But after that tunnel collapse shook me up, those little signs, her late nights, that unfamiliar perfume, the way she dodged my questions, started piling up like stress fractures in a bad foundation. My engineer's brain couldn't ignore them anymore. I needed data, not just gut feelings. It was a rainy Thursday night in Burlington, Vermont, when it all unraveled. I got home early from a waterworks inspection, expecting Nora to be at one of her staff meetings. The house on Cedar Lane was dark, quiet, except for the hum of the fridge. I flicked on the kitchen light and spotted her purse on the counter, which was odd, she never left it out. Curiosity got the better of me. I unzipped it, telling myself I was just checking for her keys, but my fingers found something else, a slim, black phone I'd never seen before. Not her usual iPhone with the cracked case. This one was sleek, no case, no lock screen. A burner. A text glowed on the screen, room 110, Hilton, 8 p.m. Can't wait. My stomach twisted. I scrolled up, and there it was, months of messages with someone named Julian. Flirty at first, then explicit, planning meetups at the Hilton in Montpelier. My hands shook, not from anger yet, just shock. Nora, my Nora, was cheating. I snapped a photo of the screen and slid the phone back into her purse, my mind already mapping next steps like I was inspecting a failing bridge. Then, chaos broke the silence. The front door flew open, and Nora stumbled in, soaked from the rain, clutching her leg and swearing like a sailor. Owen, she gasped, collapsing onto the couch. Her face was pale, twisted in pain. I slipped on the damn hospital steps. Think I broke my leg. I froze, processing. The woman I'd just caught betraying me was now crumpled in our living room, helpless. How'd it happen? I asked, keeping my voice steady, though my pulse was hammering. Rushing out, wasn't looking, she snapped, wincing as she tried to shift. God, it hurts. Call an ambulance. I dialed 911, my calm exterior holding firm. While we waited, she rambled about her day, how Dr. Vance, Julian, I now knew, had been so supportive lately. Each word was a knife, but I stayed cool, nodding like the dutiful husband. The paramedics arrived, strapped her to a gurney, and whisked her to Green Mountain Medical. I followed in my truck, the burner phone's texts burned into my brain. At the hospital, X-rays confirmed a fractured tibia. Nora wasn't going anywhere, no work, no secret hotel rendezvous. As the doctor set her leg in a cast, I sat there, the weight of her lies settling in, wondering how I'd confront the woman who'd just shattered our marriage. Nora's broken leg kept her pinned to our couch on Cedar Lane, a fiberglass cast stretching from ankle to knee. She couldn't work, couldn't drive, couldn't slip off to her secret hotel trysts with Julian. I'd have felt sorry for her if I hadn't seen those texts on her burner phone, laying out her affair in black and white. Instead, I played the part of the dutiful husband, fetching her pain meds and propping pillows under her leg, all while my blood simmered. A few days after her fall, I was in the kitchen brewing coffee when Nora's phone, the regular one, lit up with a call. She answered, her voice low but sharp. "Julian, not now," she hissed, thinking I couldn't hear. "I'm stuck at home." "No, I can't meet you." A pause, then, "Fine, come here then. Owen's at work all day. Just, make it quick." She hung up, and I stood there, gripping the coffee pot, my jaw tight. She was inviting her lover to our house, under my roof, while I was out keeping Burlington's infrastructure from crumbling. I stepped into the living room, casual as ever. "Who was that?" I asked, setting a mug on the coffee table. Nora flinched, her eyes darting away. "Just work. Dr. Vance checking in on me." "Vance, huh?" I said, keeping my tone even, though anger coiled in my chest. "Awfully thoughtful for a boss." "He's a colleague, Owen," she snapped, her bitchy edge cutting through. "Don't start with your paranoid nonsense." "Paranoid?" I raised an eyebrow, leaning against the doorway. "You're laid up, and he's calling to chat. Must be some urgent hospital business." Her lips tightened, "That liars tell me I'd missed for months." "He's just concerned. I'm a key part of the team." "Right," I said, letting it hang. I wasn't ready to tip my hand about the burner phone, not yet. But her nerve, inviting Julian here, lit a fire in me. I grabbed my keys. "Gotta head to a tunnel inspection. Need anything before I go?" "No," she said, too quick, already reaching for her phone again. I nodded and left, but I didn't go far. I parked my truck a block away and called Carl Ramsey, my old college buddy turned private investigator. "Carl, it's Owen. Nora's got her lover coming to our house today. I need eyes on this." "Damn, Owen," Carl said, his voice rough with surprise. "You sure you want that visual?" "I want proof," I said. "Photos, video, whatever you can get." He agreed to stake out the house. I spent the day at work, measuring concrete stress points, but my mind was on Nora and Julian, plotting in my living room. By afternoon, Carl texted, "Got him. Black BMW, pulled in at 2 p.m. shots of him going inside. Want me to keep watching?" "Yeah," I replied. "Stay on it." My comm was cracking, anger bubbling up at the thought of Julian in my home, Nora lying to my face. I wasn't just hurt, I was pissed, and that fire was about to burn through everything. Her betrayal wasn't just a crack in our marriage, it was a full-blown collapse. That evening, I got home from work, my head still spinning from Carl's photos of Julian's black BMW parked in our driveway. Nora was scrolling through her regular phone, acting all innocent, but her eyes flicked up when I walked in. "You're late," she said, her tone sharp, like I was the one sneaking around. "Tunnel inspection ran long," I lied, matching her casual deceit. I sat across from her, studying the woman I'd loved for 19 years. "How's the leg?" "Hurts like hell," she snapped, tossing her phone aside. "Julian stopped by to check on me. Said it's healing fine, but I'm stuck like this for weeks." "Julian, huh?" I said, my voice steady but cold. "Nice of him to make house calls." She rolled her eyes, that bitchy edge cutting deeper. "Don't start, Owen. He's my boss. He's just being professional." I leaned forward, hands clasped, my engineer's brain laying out the confrontation like a blueprint. "Professional one thing, Nora. Sneaking around with him at the Hilton in Montpelier's another." Her face went pale, but she recovered fast, her eyes narrowing. "What are you talking about?" "I found your burner phone," I said, calm as concrete. "Texts with Jay." Room 110. Months of them. For a second, she froze, then laughed, a sharp, forced sound. Oh, Owen, you're so dramatic. It's not what you think. Julian and I are working on a hospital project, sensitive stuff, off the books. We needed a private phone for it. Those meetings were about securing funding, not some affair. Funding? I said, raising an eyebrow. At the Hilton? In hotel rooms? God, you're so naive, she shot back, her voice dripping with disdain. You think hospital deals happen in boardrooms? We meet where it's discreet. I didn't tell you because you'd overreact, just like this. I stared at her, amazed at the lie she'd spun, clever, polished, almost believable. So, you're saying it's all work? Nothing personal? Of course, she said, her tone softening, playing the wounded wife now. Owen, I love you. I'd never cheat. I don't want a divorce, why would I? You're my rock. This is just work stress, and Julian's helping me through it. You're blowing this out of proportion. I nodded, letting her think I was buying it. All right, Nora. Just checking. But inside, I was done. Her story was a slick deflection, but it didn't hold up. I had Carl's photos, the texts, the truth. She wasn't just cheating, she was happy keeping me in the dark, living her double life. My anger hardened into resolve. I wasn't letting this slide. Nora was stuck in bed, her leg in that bulky cast, turning our Cedar Lane house into a prison for both of us. I was still reeling from her slick lie about the burner phone, claiming her hotel meetups with Julian Vance were just hospital business. I didn't buy it, not with Carl's photos of Julian's BMW parked in our driveway, not with those texts spelling out their affair in vivid detail. Still, I played along, waiting for the right moment to confront her with hard evidence. A week into her recovery, the doorbell rang on a gray Burlington Saturday. It was Lisa, Nora's friend from the hospital, a loud, brassy nurse with a laugh like a foghorn. She breezed in with a casserole dish and a bottle of wine, all smiles. Owen, you poor thing, playing nurse to this one, she said, nodding at Nora, who was propped up on the couch, scrolling her phone. I'm here to cheer her up. Appreciate it, I said, keeping my tone neutral, though I didn't trust Lisa as far as I could throw her. She'd always been Nora's cheerleader, egging on her worst impulses. I figured she was here to gossip, maybe cover for Nora's lies. I left them to it, heading to the kitchen to sort through work emails, but I kept my ears open. An hour later, Nora called me to the living room. Owen, can you grab the wine opener? Lisa's hopeless with it. I walked in, and something felt off. Lisa was perched on the couch, too close to Nora, her blouse unbuttoned one notch too far, her smile too sharp. Nora's eyes had a glint, like she was directing a play. I handed over the opener, and Lisa's fingers lingered on mine, her touch deliberate. You're so handy, Owen, she purred, leaning in, her perfume heavy. Must be tough, all this stress with Nora laid up. I stepped back, my jaw tightening. I manage. Nora chimed in, her voice sugary. Lisa's just saying you deserve a break, Owen. She's been so sweet, offering to help out around here. The way she said it, paired with Lisa's lingering gaze, hit me like a brick. This wasn't just a visit. Nora was orchestrating something, and Lisa was playing along. Later, when Nora dozed off, Lisa cornered me in the kitchen, her hand brushing my arm. You know, Owen, she said, voice low, Nora's out of commission, but I could keep you company. Her fingers trailed toward my chest, and I caught her wrist, my anger flaring. What the hell is this? I said, keeping my voice low but hard. Lisa didn't flinch. Nora thought you might need some fun. Said you're wound so tight lately. I'm just following her lead. I stared, disbelief mixing with rage. Nora, my cheating wife, wasn't just lying, she was pimping out her friend to keep me distracted, to keep her affair safe. Get out, I said, my comm cracking. And tell Nora her games are over. Lisa smirked, grabbing her purse. Your loss, Owen. As she left, I realized Nora's betrayal ran deeper than I'd imagined. She wasn't just breaking our vows, she was rewriting the rules to keep me in the dark. Nora's stunt with Lisa trying to seduce me in our own home was a new low, even for her. She was happy playing the devoted wife at home while sneaking around with her lover, thinking I'd stay clueless. Her broken leg kept her trapped on our Cedar Lane couch, but it didn't stop her lies. I was done playing the fool. It was time to gather the evidence and end the charade. I called Carl Ramsey, my private investigator buddy, the morning after Lisa's visit. "Carl, I need everything you can get on Nora and Julian Vance," I said, keeping my voice low in the kitchen while Nora napped in the living room. "More photos, hotel records, anything that nails this affair shut." "Got it," Carl said. "I'm already on it. Got shots of Vance leaving your place yesterday. I'll dig deeper, bank records, hotel bookings, maybe some hospital gossip." "Thanks, man," I said. "And keep it quiet. She's spinning stories about work projects to cover her tracks." Carl snorted. "She's bold, I'll give her that." That afternoon, I slipped upstairs while Nora was on a call with her mom, griping about her cast. Her burner phone was tucked in her nightstand, still buzzing with texts from Julian. I scrolled through, my stomach churning at their plans, dinners, hotel rooms, even talk of a weekend getaway once her leg healed. I screenshotted everything, saving them to a hidden folder on my laptop. Then I checked her purse again, finding a crumpled Hilton receipt from last month, room 110, paid in cash. I snapped a photo and tucked it back. Next, I called Warren Holt, my lawyer, who'd handled our family's legal stuff for years. "Warren, it's Owen. I'm filing for divorce. Nora's cheating with Julian Vance, and I've got proof." "Damn, Owen," Warren said, his voice heavy. "Are you sure about this? Divorce is a big step." "She sent her friend to hit on me to keep me off her trail," I said. "She's happy being married and screwing around. I'm done." "All right," he said. "Bring me what you've got, texts, receipts, anything solid. We'll start the paperwork. Vermont's no fault, but infidelity can sway asset splits if we play it right." I spent the next few days on autopilot at work, inspecting Burlington's waterworks while Carl dug deeper. He sent me a file by Wednesday, photos of Nora and Julian at a Montpelier cafe, her hand on his arm, bank statements showing cash withdrawals matching hotel dates, even a hospital email chain where Nora and Julian discussed discreet meetings. It was a blueprint of betrayal, precise and undeniable. Back home, Nora was her usual mix of bitchy and evasive, snapping at me for hovering while texting furiously on her burner phone when she thought I wasn't looking. I kept my calm, but every lie she told, every "I'm fine, just tired" or "work's crazy," fueled my resolve. The divorce papers were being drafted, and I was building an airtight case to make sure she didn't walk away with half my life. I wasn't just gathering evidence for the divorce anymore. I wanted Julian, her smug doctor lover, to pay for wrecking my marriage. My engineer's brain was in overdrive, mapping out weak points in his life like a faulty structure begging to be dismantled. Carl Ramsey, my PI buddy, was worth his weight in gold. By Friday, he dropped a bombshell file on my desk at the Burlington Public Works office. "Vance is dirty, Owen," Carl said over the phone. "Not just with your wife. He's been gaming the hospital system for years." The file was thick, hospital records showing Julian fudging surgery logs, billing Medicare for procedures that never happened, and peddling oxycodone prescriptions to street dealers. There were even 3 malpractice suits swept under the rug by Green Mountain Medical, botched surgeries, 1 patient dead, all settled quietly with hospital cash. "This is gold," I told Carl, flipping through grainy photos of Julian meeting a sketchy guy in Burlington's North End, likely a dealer. "Can you tie Nora to this?" "She's in deep," Carl said. "She's been backdating patient files for Vance, probably to cover the fraud. If the feds get this, they're both toast." I leaned back, my anger sharpening into focus. Julian wasn't just a homewrecker, he was a crook hiding behind his white coat. I made 2 calls that night. First, to the Vermont Medical Board, anonymously reporting Vance's malpractice history and the hospital's cover-ups. I laid out the dead patient, the payouts, the faked logs. "Check his billing records," I said. "You'll find a pattern." Second, to the DA's prescription drug hotline, detailing Vance's oxy side hustle, dates, dealers, quantities, all from Carl's file. I didn't mention Nora yet. She'd get hers through the divorce. By Monday, the hospital was in chaos. Carl texted me, "Vance suspended. Board's investigating. Feds sniffing around." I kept my routine, inspecting tunnels while the news spread. Julian's medical license was on the chopping block, his career crumbling faster than a bad foundation. Nora, stuck at home, was oblivious, still texting him like nothing was wrong. I caught her smirking at her burner phone, probably thinking their secret was safe. That evening, I sat across from her, pretending to read a work report. Heard about trouble at the hospital, I said casually. Your buddy Vance is in hot water. Her head snapped up, eyes wide. What do you mean? Something about fraud, malpractice, I said, watching her squirm. Guess those discreet meetings weren't so discreet. She went pale, stammering. That's ridiculous. You're making it up. Am I? I said, my voice cold. Better hope he doesn't drag you down with him. I left it there, letting her sweat. Julian's world was collapsing, and I'd lit the fuse. Nora's lies were next, and I was ready to bring the whole damn house down. I had Carl's evidence, photos, bank records, hospital logs tying them to fake surgeries and oxy deals. I'd already torched Julian's career with calls to the medical board and DEA. Now, Nora was about to face the music. I came home one evening to find her on the phone, her voice low and panicked. Julian, they're on to us, she hissed, thinking I was still in the kitchen. You need to take the fall. Say I didn't know anything. She froze when she saw me, her eyes wide with guilt. Owen, I didn't hear you come in. Sounded like a hell of a call, I said, leaning against the doorframe, my voice calm but sharp. Planning to throw Vance under the bus? Her face twisted, that bitchy edge flaring. You're spying on me now? God, Owen, you're pathetic. Pathetic's a funny word for a guy who's got screenshots of your fraud scheme, I said, pulling out my phone and flashing a text from her to Julian, backdate the files. I'll handle billing. Explain this, Nora. Or the one about moving cash to hide it from the feds. She went pale, then switched gears, tears welling up. Owen, I had no choice. Julian forced me into it. He threatened my job, said he'd ruin me if I didn't help. I was scared. Scared? I said, my laugh bitter. You were scared when you booked room 110 at the Hilton? When you sent Lisa to hit on me to keep me distracted? You're a liar, Nora, and a bad one. I love you, Owen, she pleaded, her voice cracking. I got in over my head. Julian's the mastermind, he cooked the books, sold the pills. I just followed orders. Please, don't turn me in. We can fix this. I stared at her, the woman I'd built 19 years with, now trying to slither out of her mess by pinning it all on Vance. You're not fixing anything, I said. I've got everything, texts, receipts, hospital records. You're as guilty as he is. She sobbed, but I saw through it. Her tears were as fake as her hospital project excuse. I called Carl that night. She's trying to blame Vance for the fraud, I told him. Says he coerced her. She's scrambling, Carl said. Feds are closing in. Hospital's got a forensic audit running. Her name's all over the billing logs. The next day, I met Warren, my lawyer, and handed over Carl's file, every text, every transaction, every photo of Nora and Julian. She's claiming she was forced, I said. Make sure the divorce papers show she's complicit. Warren nodded. This buries her alimony chances. If the feds charge her, she's looking at years behind bars. Nora's desperate play to shift the blame was collapsing, just like Julian's career. I wasn't just ending our marriage, I was making sure her lies cost her everything. Nora's cast came off 6 weeks after her fall, and she was back on her feet, hobbling around our Cedar Lane house with a limp and a cane. I had Carl's evidence, a stack of texts, photos, and hospital records proving she was as guilty as her lover. Julian's career was toast, and the feds were circling them both. My divorce papers were ready, and I was done with her lies. But Nora wasn't going down without a fight. It was a chilly Burlington evening when she cornered me in the kitchen. I was washing dishes, ignoring her as she lingered by the counter. Owen, she started, her voice soft, trembling. Can we talk? I dried my hands, keeping my face blank. What's left to say? She stepped closer, eyes glistening with tears. I'm sorry, Owen. I messed up, badly. The affair, the fraud, all of it. I was stupid, lost. But I love you. I always have. She reached for my hand, and I pulled back, my anger simmering beneath my calm. Love? I said, voice low. You loved me when you were sneaking to the Hilton with Vance? When you sent Lisa to seduce me? When you cooked the books for him? Her tears fell harder, but I knew her tricks. Those were mistakes, she sobbed. I got caught up in Julian's world. He was excited, but he wasn't you. Remember our years together? Our third date, dancing in that dive bar? Our road trip to Maine, laughing over flat tires? We were happy, Owen. We can be together again. I stared at her, the memories stinging. Those years were real, but they were built on trust she'd shattered. You don't get to rewrite history, Nora. You chose him. You chose fraud. I know I hurt you, she said, her voice breaking. But if you turn me in, you'll destroy me. The feds will lock me up for years. I'll lose everything, my career, my freedom. You don't want that, do you? After 19 years, you can't hate me that much. I crossed my arms, my resolve like steel. You're not my problem anymore. Her tears stopped, and her eyes narrowed, that bitchy edge creeping back. If you push this divorce and hand over that evidence, I'll drag you down too. I'll tell the feds you knew about the fraud and did nothing. I'll say you were in on it, skimming cash from our joint accounts. Who do you think they'll believe, a nurse with a clean record or a bitter husband out for revenge? I laughed, cold and sharp. Blackmail now? You're out of moves, Nora. I've got screenshots, receipts, Carl's photos. You're on every billing log. Try spinning that to the feds. She crumpled, sobbing again, but I felt nothing. Her pleas, her threats, they were just more lies from a woman who'd played me for years. Pack your bags, I said. You're out of this house by the weekend. The divorce is happening, and the feds already have my evidence. She stared, defeated, as I walked away. Her wonderful years were ashes, and I wasn't saving her from the fire she'd started. Nora's final plea, tears, blackmail, and all, left me cold. I'd handed over Carl's evidence, texts, photos, hospital records, proving Nora was as guilty as her lover. The divorce papers were filed, and I was ready to tear down the life we'd built on Cedar Lane and start fresh. The feds moved fast. A week after Nora's pathetic attempt to guilt me, they raided Green Mountain Medical. Julian was arrested first, charged with Medicare fraud, wire fraud, and oxy trafficking. His mugshot hit the Burlington News, his smug face now haggard. Nora was picked up the next day, her name splashed across headlines as the nurse who backdated files to cover his crimes. She tried to pin it all on Julian, but the evidence was ironclad, her fingerprints were on every faked billing log. The judge wasn't buying her coerced act. Julian got 20 years, no parole for at least 12. Nora took a plea for 7 years, likely 5 with good behavior, but her career was over, her reputation shredded. The divorce sailed through. Vermont's no-fault laws didn't care about her cheating, but her criminal conviction killed any chance of alimony. I kept the house, our savings, the retirement accounts, everything. Warren, my lawyer, made sure Nora walked away with nothing but her clothes and the shame of her mugshot. She was out of my life, legally and forever, barred from contacting me by a restraining order. I sat in our empty Cedar Lane house that spring, the silence both heavy and freeing. The place held 19 years of memories, some good, most tainted now. Nora's laughter, our quiet dinners, the dreams of Italy, they were ghosts, haunting a structure no longer fit for purpose. I called a realtor and listed the house. It sold in a month, a young couple eager to start their own story. I didn't tell them mine. With the sale closed, I packed my truck and moved to Portland, Maine, a fresh city, new bridges to inspect, no shadows of Nora. My new place was a small condo by the coast, simple and clean, with a view of the Atlantic that steadied me. I dropped 20 pounds, started running, found peace in the rhythm of waves and work. Carl visited once, bringing beers and news. Julian was roughed up in prison, and Nora was a model inmate, probably scheming her next lie. Reflecting on it all, I learned betrayal cuts deepest when it comes from those you trust most. Nora's affair, her fraud, her attempt to blackmail me, they showed me I'd been blind to her selfishness. But I also learned I'm stronger than I thought. I didn't break, I rebuilt. My advice to anyone in my shoes? Don't cling to a sinking ship. Gather your evidence, protect yourself, and walk away. Some things can't be fixed, only replaced. As summer rolled in, I sat on my balcony, sipping bourbon, watching the sun sink into the ocean. For the first time in years, I felt solid, not just calm, but whole. The past was gone, sold with the house. The future was mine to build.